Okay, good morning, everyone. Sorry I'm a little late. I had some computer stuff and options depth didn't update. They're kind of working on their website, so I kind of had to do the plan with other data. And I hope to be on before NFP, but again, you know me, I don't know what the numbers are, but the market likes them, and then that's all I care. If they like it, I like it. It's really the rest of it will come out in the wash. Now, quick check what happened to VIX. Okay, VIX dropping a little bit. IV is dropping. Um, let's look at the VIX futures. Where are they? They're here somewhere. We won't worry about the VIX futures. VIX below 15. So whatever vol came into the chain uh, during Tuesday's bear market choke is quick is leaching out, and and here we are. My notes written, I just have to get it out for those. And since today's NFP day, it's a freebie. It goes out on Twitter and everywhere for everyone. And here's where we are. So now vol comes out, the unknown becomes known. Market makers adjust, however they adjust. Then we have um, part 2.0 of the day, which is we open and then the algos decide what they want to buy, sell based on their different portfolio managers versus CTAs versus discounted cash flow, whatever, however they do it, and then we see where we go. Typically, NFP is a trend day, and it looks like we're having a continuation from yesterday, where the markets liked um, like the unemployment numbers and stuff. Give me 1 second here. I just gotta pull something else up. Where is it? And while we're doing this, so let me mention the IC whale from yesterday got overrun, and I'll put that up in a second. I just want to put out the news on Twitter that I'm doing my daily plan. People might not know it, so putting it out real quick. Retry, something is wrong. I'm having computer issues. Great. Retry. What's going on here? Okay. Sorry if I'm boring you. Discuss amongst yourselves. How about a text or two? People letting me know that you're here. Or am I speaking to myself, which, as I've said before, is often fine. Ah, there we go. We got somebody here. Yay. One more second, then I'll continue with my rambling. Okay, good morning. Okay, got a few people here. Okay. And like I said before, my note will be out shortly. It's written, I just have to copy, paste, and click send and all that stuff. Okay, good morning. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay. So let's take a look at this here. This is Periscope. Um, when I and part of the reason why my daily plan is late is because Options Depth, they're updating the website. I don't know why Periscope has the fifth as one DTE. It doesn't look like they have the whale trade in here. So shame on them, so to speak. And I'm friends with some of the one of the developers or mods, whatever he is there, and I'm gonna have to say WTF. Why doesn't it have today here? Friday? No, okay, whatever. Okay, trying to get some information here. And you see, options depth is stuck on the wrong day, but maybe we can get some information out of you guys are figuring this out with me. Hey, David, if you, I'm going to put both you guys on the stage. Let me just try something here. See if I can get something from depth view to at least. Yeah, I made up my plan with the pieces that I had, so there'll probably be an update. 48,000 here. It seems wrong. I don't think he went that big, but maybe he did. He got
Yeah,
run over yesterday, so maybe he did.
that's
So
what I'm
that
seeing. That's what I'm seeing too. And I'm looking at Thinkorswim. It's up around 50,000 at all four of those strikes.
okay. So for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, let me go back over here. Okay. I see whale. As I mentioned in my note, which people will be getting, the IC whale yesterday, if you guys have been following the series, the mini series here, IC whale was at 75 yesterday. That got overrun, which we know happens. He does a martingale simulation, gets overrun, fine. He just follows a progression, doubles up or whatever. It's not always exactly doubling each time until he wins or goes broke. So far, he hasn't gone broke. So far. Um, and so he rolled up today, and he rolls up to the expected move, but now the expected move at the close placed it at 35 or 40-ish, so he went a little closer on the call side. The other
Yep.
part of his secret sauce is roughly a third to a little more than a third the width of the spread, five wide spread. So a buck 65 is about a third. I think he got about a buck 80 for this spread yesterday. I'm kind of going back and forth. I'm kind of jumping around here trying to cover the high points. And so here's where he is today. 35 on top and 55 on the bottom. Now, the reason I said 30 is inflection, really, I should have made it a little higher. I'll probably rewrite this a little later. Is typically we would approach a large strike like that, a large level like that, and then recede. Inflection is probably the wrong term. I'm trying to get more consistent with the term. I gave us a very narrow chop zone, like a 25 pointer, to better articulate trades within the zone and outside of the zone. Do we have a consolidation zone day after yesterday's move? The market was anticipating what we got. So to what extent was it front run or not? And we'll see. And so, okay, so getting back from there. So, also, one other comment about yesterday, and I'll just sort of use this to illustrate it imperfectly. So, yesterday, first the whale, let's just pretend this is the 64.75. The whale had whatever he had there, decent size. That got overrun. Now, there's also some other vol selling funds that come in near or after the open. And there was one that came in at 90 and at 95, also pretty chunky size. The one at 95 was greater than 20,000 contracts.
Yep.
And so 90 was kind of expected to hold in 95. Once we got through the 75, the whale short strike yesterday, so like this is just 100 points away. I'm just doing this to illustrate it. Once we got through, where are we? Let's go back to yesterday. Once we got through 75, and we hung around here for quite a while. Once, if you look at these are 15-minute candles, we hung around here for more than an hour in the afternoon. Once we kind of got through, then that became quote unquote support. Then what happened, and as I've been reminding everybody, local buyers come in. What do I mean local? Near spot, near where we're trading. So buyers came in yesterday, and again, we're going to pretend this is where we were yesterday. Buyers came in at the 90. Let's pretend this was a 90 and bought it up. Then we were sitting with the 95. So pretend this is 64.95. This is 6,500. There's a way to go back in time. I'm not going to do that because I might screw this up forever. And it was roughly equal. Iron condors, the spreads are roughly equal. And I pointed this out on TV yesterday. Suddenly, we had 5,000 more calls at 6,500 long than we had short at 64.95. That was the tell that we could go through that, and that was building. So people were buying 6,500s. I know people that bought them for 30 cents. They bought a spread for 30 cents, and they ended up with a couple $100.
I did.
Okay, case in point. Yes, I remember a few people were clever enough to say, you know what, that's a decent lotto. And so enough people, both algos and individual traders, did that trade and it got overwhelmed. So here we are again. Now we have 64.45 long. Now I happen to know that some people in the whale pod do 10 wides. So some of these are 5 wides, some of these are 10 wides here at 64.45. So the first question is, does this hold or not? Likely it will, but it's kind of at the expected move. Now the expected move has probably come down since the event vol came out. And so we're going to take a quick look at what the expected move is. Now it says 38, so it's still, now I don't know that I can trust this. So let's look at the E-mini expected move to get a better idea of what's really expected. 25. That makes a lot more sense. So 25-point expected move. I know I talk fast because I think fast. You have to listen fast. 25-point expected move puts a harpoon in the whale.
Sure does.
He's at 35.40. So will he survive or will he be back Monday for the next part of the mini series? We'll see. I certainly wouldn't want to be sitting there, but who knows? We'll see. And the bottom is probably good. NFP days are funny, but I'm not seeing anything to indicate that we're going to go down twice the expected move or whatever that is. Okay, now let's get back to the thinking out loud department. Okay, so this is the best data we have. So 6,500, sticky-ish. Here's where I got the 65.15 from. Kind of, we should head there, and we're kind of there now. This 1,800 contracts here, 456 contracts, you can throw that in the garbage. that's not enough. And that's why going forward, there's going to be at least one intraday update after the intraday trades come in and the my premium or elite or whatever the name du jour is, platinum subscribers will be getting at least one update during the day, whether it's one on in the server or a more formal written one if there's a lot to update. Because what happens is local buying near spot, kind of eats through a lot of these levels. Now, these levels tend to hold earlyish in the day, and sometimes they get eaten through, sometimes they don't. It just depends. So, 6,500, obvious round number. Um, 64.75, round number inflection point. But again, there's not a lot. Call buyers, call sellers, put buyers, call put sellers come in. But we could say 70 looks like a reasonable level if we go down. Market makers short, customers long down here, long some puts, 1200 here at 64.75. Should stall here. If that breaks, we have some blockers ahead of the 55.50 round number. Below 50, we have a path down to wherever. There's really no stoppers from a gamma point of view. No stoppers. Okay. Um, Shifting gears again, or same gear really. So yesterday, in the after the close, after pinball, it was an interesting pinball. I did a few things. Um, One, I've been working on one DTE trade of my own, my version, so to speak, of the whale trade. That's going to be one of my proprietary things, whatever. Um, I did this yesterday at the Open, actually, or maybe even the day before, a fly. We'll see how that plays out. I think I did it. I'm not sure when I did. It doesn't really matter. What I want to show you, and here I have another fly here. I'm not. Oh no, this isn't a fly. I'm sorry. So right. So what I did. So I knew the whale. The whale typically comes in at 20 delta, and here's where he is. I put it in 480 so it wouldn't get filled, so we could see it. And he got about $2 ish. Now it's $2. He got about 185. So he could close it out for a tiny loss or whatever and leave and leave the building, but he won't. Um, Now, what I would do if I was in this, I would manage each side separately, close out the puts for 10 cents, and deal with the calls. But that's me. Um, so I went further away above the 50 round number, and I did one kind of a little closer, one a little further, and those are down here. I stayed the same area on the puts, so the puts are gone. The puts are kind of free. Um, Here's my buy to close on these, and that's that. So what would I do now? Well, NFP traditionally for me is a no iron condor day. I might be able to convince myself to sell puts somewhere down below 50 round number, below yesterday's low, which I think is the safer side to be on. Gun to my head on the call side. Well, I have these here already, but if I didn't, let's go gun to my head, because there's somebody sitting in my office right to my right with a gun to my head. 65.75, 15,000. That's pretty chunky, and we have more and more up here. 85. So somewhere up there looks reasonable. No juice up there, so 75, maybe 70, kind of up here. 7 delta, expected move really is 25. We're at, say, 20-ish. So twice the expected move is 70. That kind of puts us right around here. Am I thrilled with it? No. Will I do it? Probably not. Like I said, or if not, I'm going to wait later in the day and see what big trades come in, see what the algos do, knowing that they get overrun. Now, I was also thinking about this. I don't know how new of a player is, but for a while now, we've been seeing these 7,000 and 15,000, like roughly 15, 20,000 contracts of ICs come in 5 wide and 10 wide. And then I realized that's not that big because they're 5 and 10 wide. There's like 20, 30 million bucks, whatever it is, riding on it. Yes, it's big for me and you and, not big for David, but it's big for a lot of us. Um, 20 million, but that's not like Goldman Sachs money. That's not even like a small hedge fund. That's a bit player of some sort. That's, could be someone like, whatchamacallit, David Chow, the IC Whale. He's got a little hedge fund roughly that size, around 50 million, I think, when I checked. So people have asked me to start a hedge fund. I don't have the data to back it up because they want like years of back tested data and stuff, and I don't keep track of it. But I've been approached, so it's not hard to do that. Is my point. Not that I'm such a genius. It's not hard to do that and raise 50 million in capital, 20 million in capital, and do that. That's a long-winded way of saying these people might or might not be genius big players, or they might be just some people riding the DTE wave and getting their percent, whatever. More will be revealed. I'm not sure who they are yet, but I'll try and look into it. Okay. Um, so that's really that. Let's go back to the charts for a minute. I'll let some other people talk. So here we are, 25, 10 points away, David. That's David Chow, not David. 10 points away, bro. I like to poke fun at him. I like to poke him. Okay. Let's look at my famous VIX ratio. Now, this will update during the day. I don't think they have VVIX active numbers now during the pre-market. If they do, I don't know that they do. I'm pretty sure they don't. And this is kind of normal, not really complacent. Well, let's see what it looks like once this. So it's just a simple mathematical ratio divided VVIX by VIX. 6 to 7 is a normal-ish range. Um, Below 6 is a little bit fearful. 5.5 is well hedged, maybe overhedged. 5 is OMG. Down here was during the March sell-off when we were crazy fearful, backwardation. And so that's, I guess, kind of like to eyeball this. You can do it. Nothing fancy. Even I could do it. A caveman could do it. VVIX divided by VIX. Here's your symbol. Um, Here, my little volatility dashboard. And you see at the money vol collapsing, VIX sub 15. Little bit of a bounce on the skew index. That's a one standard deviation out of the money stuff. I don't know if this is updating now real time, but VVIX, the volatility, the demand for volatility for hedges, whatever, down kind of almost near a level where kind of a little too low. I think 88 or 90-ish are his historical norms. So I have to look back. We're not going to do that now. But it's kind of getting a little low, which we would expect when we're at all-time highs. Last thing about the VIX, OG Macmillan has a VIX spike buy signal that I've been following for 25 years and typically trading, and it usually works, except once in a while it doesn't. Has a pretty high percentage. And the VIX spike buy spike peak buy signal is 3 points down from a local high in VIX, 19.3 something, whatever it was, closing 3 points below, which would have been 16.28, which would have been here, and we closed below it. Now, we had two or three of those so far in the last weekish, a month-ish, and so far they seem to have worked because we're at all-time highs. So, just saying. What's this? How is Tasty Trade? Is it minimum with cash accounts? I'm not sure. I think Tasty Trade is pretty liberal, so to speak, as long as you have the cash to cover the width of the spread and you want to risk going broke, they're happy to let you go broke, so to speak. Um, Now, there's a whole pattern day trading thing, and can you close them or not? And that's a whole nother story. Some people get around that by trading the 1 DTE instead of the 0 DTE. Um, hey, Boomer. Your Boomer also had 6,500s yesterday, I believe, longs. Is that true? Anyway, so that's where we are. Um, I'm just gonna probably, I'm not sure. Now, this is my play account, not my real account, quote unquote. I'm up $85. It says 180% because everything's here for credit except for a small debit on the fly. Yep, I'll most likely close most of this stuff out and just kind of, call it a snow day, go to the beach. Oh, you had a fly? Where was the center of the fly? Oh, yeah, well, he has Frankenstein flies. Where was the center of your fly? Or the long leg? Okay, well, until we get that, it was perfect. That's what I would expect from you, Boomer. Nothing less. No, Boomer is a good trader. He's got a little bit of his own. He got some courses or stuff that he does, and so anyway, that's that. Um, Got some subscribers here who also have their own services, whatever. That's fine. I subscribe to other services too. We kind of, exchange information, and I'm humble enough to know that there's more than one way to skin a cat. I know my assets and my liabilities, and okay, 6,500. So you were like 1 or 2 points in the money. That's good. Um, to know that, like, I subscribe to Alma. Most of you know her because she has really detailed quantity information. Do I use it all? No. Do I look at it? Yeah, when I have time. Does it help me? Absolutely. But is that my playbook? Not really. Not saying that my playbook is better than hers. I'm saying, and everybody here has their own playbook. Some more TA, some more Delta, some more Gamma, some more whatever, some more. I know Boomer is like big on the risk graph and all that. I don't really look at the risk graph too much. I kind of see the risk graph in my head for some reason after years of doing this. So anyway, I'm going to shut up now and go ahead. Bad Hombre, Chewy, say something to the good people, and then we'll kind of move on to the rest of the Rogues Gallery, and then I'll get my plan out. Okay, maybe he's busy trading, so we'll go on to the next person in my, where is it? Here we are. Okay, David or Market Literate. Anyone want to say something?
The only thing I was going to ask you about is, have you seen this video presentation from Gamma Edge about this seek and destroy algo?
I saw mention of it on Twitter, whatever. I didn't see the video yet. I'm gonna have it on my because I get the email. I have it on my don't delete this email
Yeah.
thing, but I just haven't deleted it yet. And maybe over the weekend I'll get to it. But give us the brief summary.
Well, they were watching yesterday as the whale got harpooned, and they were talking about how this algorithm bought one contract every microsecond until they moved notional value enough to move the market through his short strike. And then
And that wouldn't surprise me. I told him that years ago. He poo-pooed it. By the way, weaponized gamma. I've been screaming that for a while, but okay. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Go ahead.
it took 10 billion in notional value to move the market enough to take the whale out. So whoever's doing it is a serious player.
Well, 10 billion in notional value. That so remember, an SPX call for $100 has a notional value of whatever SPX is times whatever it is. So that notional value is a number that they like to throw out to impress people, but it's a
I
bullshit number, if you know what I mean.
didn't think about that. You're absolutely right.
Just like they like to say $5 trillion worth of options expiring on the quarterly OPEX. Yeah, but 95% of them are way out of the money hedged and don't really matter. It's only 5 or 10 billion notional are actually going to be hedged.
Yeah.
Only I'm going to go into my petty cash drawer and only use 5 or 10 billion. But you know what I mean. So they do like to do that.
Yeah, I'm going to do the math on that. You're right. That's not as many contracts as I initially thought.
If you think about it, and I've been eyeballing it. I noticed it now yesterday. If you looked in the intraday trades channel, and and we have that in my server, we get intraday trades data,
Uh-huh.
and and we've been seeing, after these these iron condors come in, we've been seeing small, quote unquote, 1,500 contracts of a debit spread somewhere in those same neighborhoods.
Yeah, I've
Now
noticed.
that might sometimes they're 25 wide, sometimes they're tens. Some came in yesterday, and that could be enough to move the needle, and maybe that's what he's seeing. I'm not saying that that's not happening, but I definitely will watch the video.
It's funny how they're doing it incrementally. In other words, nobody wants to spend too much money. They're doing
Right.
only as much as it takes to move the needle, and that's it.
So if you think about it, 1.5 thousand contracts, right?
Uh-huh.
Hold on, we're going to do the math here on TV. 1,500 contracts. Now let's just say they pay $2 for it,
Uh-huh.
right? I think they usually pay less, but let's just say $2. They're big spenders. That's $200. That's $300,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so 10 billion, 500, $300,000. Any peasant hedge fund can do that.
Yeah. See, I wasn't thinking in those terms, but now I am.
So, it's impressive or it's not so impressive. Okay, let's see if options depth updated, but we think we know where the bodies are buried today. Let's see if options depth, because they're like feverishly like coding like mad coders. See, this is no bueno.
The whale's going to get harpooned right at the open, it looks like.
Yeah, looks like it. Looks like it. Now I wonder if he's gonna. Let me see if I can get somehow maybe if I get markers off. I'm just gonna see if I can maybe somehow jog this thing to do something. It looks like I jogged it to do something. It certainly doesn't look right. OD, you're making us look bad on TV here. 65.80 on top. We certainly don't need to see 63.80 anymore. Let's go 64.20 on bottom. Give it a wide berth. Oh, there we go. Looks like we're back. And what do we see? We see the IC whale, nothing in between, nothing to really hang your hat on. Yeah, now it's 1,000 contracts, so it is something. And we're going to look at that in a second. And we have these at 65.75, so we probably shouldn't get there. I think that's probably realistic to say. And he may or may not survive. So now I'm going to try another trick that I do. If we go 25 on the bottom and 60 on top, so we're away from the whale, so we can better articulate what's in the middle. Okay, now we can articulate what's in the middle. All right, so small numbers, 20, 15, that was our target. We saw that. 6,500, this is going to get chewed through, whatever it is. They're going to be buying puts, calls, whatever. Below 6,500, path down towards 6,480, maybe stall out here, but we have this 75 round number magnet. So below 6,500, we could grind toward 64.75, which wouldn't be a tragedy for the Bulls. And then at this 70, 60 area is where the first, where the stall should be, should we get down there, which is beyond the expected move. So that's the way, I just kind of like to try to parse that out. And here we can look at the heat map. And some of you who are watching, I'm sure a lot of you actually don't subscribe to Options Depth. I use it, and I use Mentor Q, and I use Spot Gamma, and I use Unusual Whales. I do this for a living, so I use as much as I can, and I integrate it however I integrate it. So, but if you're an SPX, serious SPX trader, I enthusiastically recommend Options Depth. For futures, Mentor Q is pretty much the only game in town, but there's some other guy, SPX Gamma, Flash, who's got some interesting stuff. He was on here a couple months ago. Maybe I'll bring him back up. But as we see, and then we have future scalpers like my boy Bad Hombre, who and other people who are going to be coming on who just do regular scalping, old school style. And as you can see here, the colors are kind of light, not much hedging required in this area. And notice the time is on the left, on the x-axis. Really not much hedging required from this big stuff until later in the day. If anything, it's a slightly reddish hue, so there's a slight bias in this direction. If below 6,500, 6,510, some support, slight bias, but basically a nothing burger. So what's going to matter is the intraday trading. And that's why, yes, I write my game plan and my 0DTE roadmap, and people, I've been doing it for years, and people trade by it, they make money on it and all that. But for the nuanced stuff, you don't have to do anything. I think being butt in the seat and seeing what's going on, and shameless plug, in my service, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm overstating, you can tell me. I'm sitting here, I'm watching it, I'm screen sharing it. When big trades come in, we're talking about it, and we're constantly calibrating where we might go. So, the roadmap is the start of the roadmap, but sometimes there's unexpected bends in the road, or it starts to rain, and a safe turn becomes a hairpin turn, or ice forms on the road. And so, you can't predict that. I can't. If you can, then let me know how you do it. Okay, Chewy, comment or you good?
Hey Doc, good morning everybody. I was out walking my dog. I posted my plan in the YouTube chat. Let me pull it right back up. Uh, I guess it didn't post. So what I am looking for here with ES, these are ES numbers, is I'd like to see a push down at open, and that'll get me really comfortable for some longs through the day. My push down area, I'd like to go long around 626,
Okay, I'm
maybe
pulling up an
614.
ES chart here while you're talking. Okay, go ahead.
Sure, yeah, 626 to 614. That to me is a really good area to start thinking about longs. If we, I don't think this will happen, but if we do break below, call it 500, I'm going to be pretty bearish.
Yeah, I see a bottoming tail there. Like it was an overnight low or something.
I'm sorry.
I'm just looking at a chart. If you can see the chart or not, I'm seeing like a little bottoming tail right around 6,500.
Oh, I don't have my charts open, but
Okay,
if that's an overnight low,
right.
then yeah, that would kind of follow what I had looked at. But yeah, those are the pretty simple. I think today is a very important day to sit in your butt and look for changes in the market the way you described. I think expecting just a trend day in either direction would be quite silly.
Now, historically, what happens, NFP tends to be a trend day, except we front ran it and we had the trend yesterday. So that makes it kind of, not as clear as it typically is.
Agreed. Yeah. It makes me just a little suspicious. Now I don't trade suspicion, right? I trade my system, but uh, I, I think it would be dumb of me to not consider my suspicion there.
Right, for sure, for sure. So, okay, thanks. And Chewy trades in, he's got an ES scalping room, and I'm trying to get the rest of the juvenile delinquents into a scalping room. We'll probably build that out over the weekend. And when I say the delinquents, I'm talking about this band of traders that I've kind of just pulled together over the last 5+ years, who are good traders, and we've kind of become friends. And I have them in this little just server, whatever, where we all just kind of chat and put up charts, and people use different things. Some of you have seen some of them here talking. Val Trader, who yesterday said in the morning a 1% move in the Qs sure looked like he was wrong in the morning when we were flat to down, whatever. But he was right, and he used to be a market maker in Europe, FX and that kind of stuff, currency and commodities. So he has his own secret sauce, but it seems to work. So that'll be there, but it's going to be enter at your own risk room for the elite subscribers. Why? Because they're going to be sending off-color memes. They're going to be making fun of each other. They're going to be making politically incorrect jokes. So if that offends you, don't go in there. You know, or go in there and make money and keep your mouth shut, or fight with them. I don't care. But anyway, so we're going to set that up. We're going to set that up.
As long
Think
as you're
we're here to
making
make
money.
money? Huh?
Yeah.
What?
As long as we're making money, who cares,
Right.
right?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I look at it. Okay. So anyway, here we are, right at this key level, 10-point difference, right up in the IC whale's throat. And maybe we get 65.50. Why not? Nice round number. Why not? And now let's go back to the train for a second. And depth view would be a good way to look at it. If I can find where I have it. There we go. And I've been mentioning this as well. Quietly, or not so quietly, people have been accumulating positions at 65.50, at 600. I've been mentioning this. This 12,000 long calls sitting at 6,600 for the end of the month, and they've been there for a while. Somebody is not stupid, apparently. Doesn't mean we get there. Doesn't mean the person can't sell them today, but this is the AM expiry, so this is where institutions park, 65.50. So, oh, look at this, 66.50. Could be the other side of a spread, could be whatever. We don't know what it's there for. But the point is, there's gamma fuel to try to bring us up. Have no idea if we get there. There's also gamma fuel to bring us down to now 63.75 is down. I don't have a wide enough range here. We're not going to do that now. It's 9:20 already, so I'm going to shut up. Anybody else want to say anything before we call it a day? Okay, safe trading, and I'll get my notes out and all that as quickly as I can. But first, I got to trade. All right, take care, everybody.